Welcome to WestWorldia. Brought to you by PanNerdia. I'm Aaron.
I'm Pete.
And we are in the CR4DL tonight. Here talking about Westworld Season 2, Episode 6.
Phase.
Which, man.
Space.
Yeah,
Enter the cradle.
threw me into some phase space. And we're also going to talk about what's ahead this season and Episode 7 in particular. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into our Episode 6 review.
Hell yeah. Well, the first thing is the flashback of Dolores. She's testing Bernard on fidelity, much like James Delos was. The android was being interviewed. So it's all about fidelity, which is interesting. I looked up the definition of fidelity, and I always thought it was just faithfulness, like in marriage or whatever.
Right.
But like besides all the loyalty and support and all that stuff, the other definition, which, and you think about the androids in this movie, or series, sorry.
Right.
The degree of exactness with which something is copied or reproduced with precision, exactness, accuracy, and precise correctness.
So they want consistency for essentially eternity.
Right. So in order for these androids to reach this unconscious mind and make their own decisions, and then on top of it realize what they are and still live on,
right,
they need to have that perfect.
They need to be perfect.
Yeah, they have to have that perfect, like where the nerve meets the next nerve, all that.
Which questions our own reality that we happen to stumble upon that perfectness to make us who we are as humans. So definitely a big thing to explore there.
Well, then we know that Maeve's group, they survived the Shogun army attack, and Akane ceremoniously cuts out the murdered Sakura's heart, her daughter's heart, only to wrap it and pack it up and take it to a special shrine. But Musashi,
real quick before Musashi,
yes.
real quick,
all
about
right.
that heart. It's something I had to mention about this. When we watched the episode, we were like, the Shogun stuff's awesome, right? We love the fight scenes. We love the culture of it. We were just wondering if it was more about Miss Maeve coming to her daughter or not. Like, if these characters were going to come back soon. But as I rewatched the episode again, and I'm noticing this heart, a big connection that it's shown is that, for one, we do know that these androids are closer to us now. They have organs, hence an organ of a heart. But you also know with
They've got water, blood,
all the fluids. They're water strings, if you will. Bort, of course. Oh, I wonder if they do actually.
I've been asking that since the first season.
That's a whole podcast.
That's
itself.
Yes.
Like if they poop and stuff, but
yeah, it's like
right. What? Come on.
They're eating and drinking.
They're eating,
so
right.
something has to happen.
Something has to happen.
All right, let's move on.
So what I'm getting at with the organs is, every good film or good TV show, any type of cinematography, when they show something, it's for a reason, right?
Yes.
With Westworld and this great production,
it's
everything
all for a reason.
For a reason. So
not just little Easter eggs, but big symbols and big hints, and no one ever gets it.
Right, from the show to the trailer
revealed.
to the tweets on Twitter, But with the heart is what I'm getting at is they're showing an organ. They're showing that it's vital, and that's the big vital part of a real life human. But I'm thinking it's for a reason because noting back to the theme with all how it's a new theme. They show the mother android with the mother baby. Mm-hmm. Well, how do babies get born? Well, through the uterus, through the organs and of the female. And if they have real life organs,
but how do they? But the brain is the only thing that's not like a full-fledged organ in their
right.
heads like ours.
I think that's why, because it's the most complex organ.
So they can die over and over as long as they get that cupcake brain replaced.
As long as they're...
so how do they reproduce? That's a
It's
whole other
a whole
ball
different
wax.
thing, but I think that might be a symbol on what's to come, is all.
Correct.
Continue, sir.
All right, so Musashi, he's he's the badass that is helping out now. He used to be a kind of a bad shogun guy, but then he became what do you call Ronin? A
Ronin, yes. Yeah. He used to be a samurai working for the shogunate, but then he...
And for those of you who haven't watched Season 2 yet that may or may have not subscribed to this, you can mute this and then watch us before each episode.
Right.
That's how it rolls. That's how you can totally enjoy the Westworld experience.
Yes.
You watch us, then you watch an episode of Westworld, and you keep doing it over and over, and it's almost like sitting with your friends in your own house discussing what's going to happen next.
Yeah, some pre-gaming before the show, right.
Yeah. So Musashi secures a safe passage by killing Tanaka, lops off his arm, and eventually Tanaka stabs himself ceremoniously.
Yes.
And then before he gets totally to kill himself, Musashi just lops his head right off.
Yeah, it was a great scene, man. Really good sword fighting and choreography there, but really, faithful to the time period, the Edo period, with the gruesomeness and the brutaliness. This whole Shogun world is so authentic to its source material. It's amazing.
That was a cool duel between those two guys, and that Shogun guy he killed was a lieutenant. And I guess his doppelganger would have been that Craddock guy. Who knows?
I think somewhere around that line.
Because in Shogun World, they're all doppelgangers of WestWorld,
essentially,
the original park.
Right, they're mirroring it. Eastern, Western.
The group reaches the shrine, and they burn the heart and all that stuff.
The beautiful shrine. Yeah. We almost went there tonight, but we decided to come to the cradle.
We almost had Snow Lake as our backdrop, but instead, we are inside the cradle.
CR40O. CR40O. CR40O.
Wow, you creeped me out on that one. Okay. Well, let's see here. Well, they split up, though. Hanaru and Armistice are kind of like, the doppelganger duo now. We'll see how they pan out in WestWorld together.
Yeah, because Hanaru decided, Musashi's kind of like gave her the nod, like, yes, you can go on the new adventure. Yes. Yeah, right. And she's like, yes, our snakes will intertwine.
Well, all right, then. Well, Maeve accesses the return point in WestWorld and to the farmland that was her original narrative location to discover another woman playing the mom role of her daughter.
Called that shit, but I think anybody watching probably would have called that.
Yeah, we saw that coming. Either that or the daughter would have been just in a whole different place. But it's interesting that she's still. I mean,
still there.
They're too lazy. They're going to stick them in the same scenario if they can. Ghost Nation raids the homestead. Maeve takes the girl. Akachita, the raid leader of the Ghost Nation tribe, he asks Maeve to join, for they are, quote, looking for the same thing. And what do you think that same thing is? The goal of
I believe so.
Occupying without human guests.
I think that's Ford somewhat talking to that guy, not directly, but I think somewhat he's sent out to be like collect the rest of them,
sure.
Like the lawyers, and then Maeve's just on her own path, man. I think we'll get to the cradle soon, but I think Maeve's got a separate string of power connected to the cradle, but distanced from the cradle.
Sorry.
And then she, of course, tells the Ghost Nation guy that path leads to hell.
Well, dang.
Right.
William rides with the gang and his daughter Emily. He is drunk at at bedtime near the campfire as Emily, the daughter, tries to convince she is more helpful to her father than he is to her via honeypot jump rescue.
Yes.
But basically, like, you're going to explain that they thought they were raiding what was like leftover whatever.
Yeah, they thought they were raiding leftover, carriages and whatnot, and then she kind of already knew what was up and surprised William by shooting the honeypot bandits, the ones who were setting up their men and the cousins and whatnot. And what's really interesting about this whole interaction is when she finally rides up and starts talking to her father, he wants to immediately shove it off as, Ford, Are you really gonna stoop this low? You're gonna make my daughter into a host, mess with me?
Right.
And she's like, "You've been out in the sun too long." Essentially, like, so it's already thrown you for a spin. Is she die?
I'm saying they're either both androids or she is, just for now, because every time I watch this show, the reveal after reveal is just like, what?
Right.
Like, just when you think you figured it out, right?
And this is where I think it's really coming into play more so is because when they have their talk by the fire, right?
Yes.
They're kind of reminiscing on the past, the mother, and, why are you here? Well, she's like, I missed the Raj, so I went there first. And she rode for days, and she rode for days at the Raj and the Pleasure House, and made William uncomfortable, of course.
Yeah, I don't think any daughter should tell their father that I rode for days in the whorehouse, or whatever you want to call it.
The Pleasure Palace.
Yeah.
But then she talks about, he's like, well, I know you love this place but you were scared as shit of the elephants. And he's like, and he goes, I remember. And she goes, no, Mom was. But what's interesting is the fact that he's saying that he remembers about elephants, but it's obviously a false fact. And elephants always remember. He's been forgetting a lot about details this season.
If some people say, oh, he's drunk. He's just, his wife probably looks a lot like his daughter, does, and blah, 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 blah.
But what's interesting, too, is the whole shtick with him and kind of explaining to not only James, 149, but anybody else that
that's true, 149,
right? That his wife, or that William's wife and James's daughter is dead, and so is James's son. But he never says what happens to James's granddaughter or William's daughter. Though he does say that his wife killed herself by taking pills. Could Emily have killed herself somehow too.
And all we have are the conversations. We don't really know what's been happening in the real world outside of the park.
Right. Maybe
parks.
Emily was the one that was in the bathtub, and maybe she really did kill herself to get away from her father, and that's going to be another
maybe it was
script.
William himself that did it. I mean, I couldn't really see the hand if it was
right. We can go on forever. I mean, he was kind of scrawny back in his younger days, so it could go either way, but it really sparks of interest, especially when she starts trying to pull him from the park and kind of reuniting forces. He almost seems like he wants to give in, but of course, in the morning...
Yeah, in the morning he disappears, and, Emily's on her own, but I think Ghost Nation ambushes William's group.
Yeah, they do,
but that was post after they ditched her, right?
Yep, they're riding, Lawrence and his cousin are talking about something, and he's telling, Man in Black's telling him to shut the fuck up, and then right before they realize it, Lawrence's cousin gets shot with an arrow, and they're getting chased by the Ghost Nation, and that's where we leave William at the moment.
So then Dolores again, before we get to the cradle. Oh, yes. Dolores reprogrammed Teddy. Now he's a badass killer. And her horde prepared to crash the train into the Mesa headquarters at full speed with explosives.
Oh, man. And was that a crazy scene?
And we had to watch this a second time just because I was confused on... They took the train engine and maybe 2 cars at the most.
Right.
And I thought the tech that they kidnapped... Left. They gave a gun to, like, a mercy kill.
Mercy kill bullet.
And I was like, I don't understand it. And then when I rewatched it, I was like, oh, they're in the back car. They detached the car as the tech guy, poor dude, had to go slamming into the headquarters and explode everything.
Oh, man. And Teddy's like, you better use it quick. It's my last bit of mercy I'm giving you.
Well, Charlotte was inside the Mesa with Ashley, who's a dude, by the way. People get confused with the character names, but Ashley used to be head of security of just the parks. Yeah, Ashley Stubbs. They brought Peter Abernathy in. They bolted him down in the shoulders and in the legs, and and Ashley was kind of
cringy,
and he's like, do we have to do all that? Is that necessary? He says, but then they ended up calling for a new armored backup. So this Scotsman-led mercenaries arrive and they take over security, bringing the systems online, including the map. The 3D map shows up. What's the first thing they see? A little dot go boop, 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 boop.
She says, that's the train. And they're
it's the train. Oh, there's the red dot right
up there.
There.
Yeah.
What else? They bring the system online, including the map. Here's the trains coming, and then we see the explosion.
Then...
The explosion is felt throughout the whole Mesa.
All the way down to the CR-40L.
The cradle.
And we're going to talk about that now. Because, man, if anything was the centerpiece of this episode, it was indeed the revelation and reveal of the cradle and what it holds.
Let me tell you what the cradle is. It's the central repository of all host data. The hive of every host's unconscious mind via backup pearl brain cupcakes floating in red light fluid.
Oh, perfectly explained.
This whole room behind us.
CR4DL.
Those are all brains floating around in fluid.
And we know, why do we call it a pearl? Well, it is in fact called a pearl. We saw behind the scenes of the cradle, and they explained what the pearl is. Essentially, the inner being of what makes the androids, which is then protected by the control unit, which is then held in a shell, which is then in the brain. And inside the shell is cortical fluid and bortical fluid. And
yes.
But, the CR-40L, man, is essentially a giant server farm.
Do you think that, in Vietnam, I'm going a little off here, but they would cut victims' ears off and make necklaces of their ears?
Right.
Well, what if they did the same thing with the androids' pearls? Would they make a necklace with it? Never mind, that was a bad joke.
But what is an interesting connection about this cradle server farm that's very creepy and not necessarily running on fans and heat, but actually like a cooling system with what? Fluid, liquid,
yeah. Water has been the theme throughout this. I'm going to get in on this on my appreciations later, but there's something interacting with the cradle. Bernard and Elsie have to physically go and find out.
Yes.
And this cradle is basically this like basement, so they must physically go into the bunker basement large chamber deep in central Mesa. This, to me, is yet another scene with evidence that Elsie is a clone or a super droid like Bernard. That's what I think.
Yeah, I mean...
Everything she said. Like, remember when she says, and I didn't even bring this up until now, this is live. When he was going to get his head carved, we're going to get that in a second, She's like, wait, your head's the shape of mine, not like the others. Da, 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 da. I'm like, oh, really? It is it?
Oh.
Well, maybe you're a new freaking clone and you're not a regular original android.
Though she could have been saying that just in terms of like it's closer to humans, human heads. But that could be a play on words, and they could be saying that. But she also
we're reading into it for no reason and they're fooling us again.
But she also, when she was walking down, she's like, I haven't been here in years. So
correct.
It's interesting, right?
Right. Well, Bernard uses a host interface machine. There it is. To enter into the cradle system and look for the anomaly. You know, I was getting a haircut the other day, and this guy's massaging my head, and he's like, massage. I'm like, oh, you know what this reminds me of? Oh. He's like, what, dude? Like, uh-oh, where's this guy going? And I'm like, it reminds me of Bernard in WestWorld. He goes, oh, I love that show. I'm like, really? Are you watching it? He goes, I've only watched season 1. I'm like, oh, never mind.
Aww.
I can't tell you anything.
Can't tell you about the pearl extraction.
Right. But he uses the interface to look for the anomaly, and after attaching himself to the machine, like this picture over here, it's like a helmet, and then the helmet carves a hole in the back of his skull, opens it, takes the cupcake, opens it, takes the fucking pearl out of the fluid, and then
puts it into a new control unit.
It reminds me of the machine that my kid tries to get balls out of, the claw machine.
Right.
You know, it's
like real delicate
drops. Right.
Oh, man,
so,
it's awesome scene.
After attaching himself to the machine and everything, Bernard experiences a pre-uprising, non-guest Sweetwater town. Obviously, this is the alternate dimension of all the androids' Pearl's unconscious minds, right?
Which is totally crazy, because we even said, like, is it ever going to get into the virtual reality-esque realm? It kind of does, but it kind of doesn't. It's like its own separate reality for the androids themselves. It's their almost... It's like their heaven, their paradise.
Yes, it is.
You know?
It is. It is. That's what I was just going to say. It's like a little, like a purgatory heaven kind of thing.
And who is the top dog of said heaven or paradise?
This is where Bernard follows a greyhound dog into the saloon where Ford is waiting for him at the piano.
Hello, old friend.
Yes.
Oh, man.
Hello, Clarice.
And what a creepy little eerie music they play when they reveal him, and that's who's been messing with the cradle, man. That's who's been manipulating it. Ford has indeed seeped into the essence of what Westworld is, man, and we called that from the get-go. I think a lot of people might have thought that, but maybe they didn't think they can get it done, but this show made it happen. And
the budget, the actors, perfect.
Oh, it's amazing, man.
You don't even have to be a sci-fi fan to enjoy this show. No. It's just...
It has a little bit for, everybody, man. It really does.
Yes.
And
murder, mystery, sci-fi, time period pieces from all.
Right.
It's got everything.
And more to see, because we still have 3 worlds to see, and we don't
it's
even know what they
all
are.
set in the future.
Oh man! And speaking of the future, well, before we move into what we think about episode 7 and a little preview, let's talk about what we perhaps, appreciate or want to analyze a little bit.
Wait, what do you got on that?
Aaron analysis.
Oh, yes.
So, my analysis of the show, of course...
Cyborg hand.
Is, again, man, I can't harp on this anymore. That is just a great show. Like, hands down. This episode threw me for a loop. I was even telling Pete, as we got to the mid-season finale of this season, you think to yourself, okay, maybe I'm getting an idea where it's going. It's starting to come together, but you're still kind of wondering... Where is it going, though, ultimately, for this season? You maybe have this theory, you have that theory, and the show does it in little increments, but then it just completely flipped it on its head with the cradle reveal in Ford this season, because now you're like, okay, shit's ramping up quick, where are we going? And I just appreciate the constant just goose chase that this show is in terms of you trying to figure out what the fuck's going on. And not only that, again, with the acting, the examples of culture from something that could be in the future to the past. It's a beautiful show, and I can't get enough. And I can't believe there's only 4 episodes left this season. Mm-hmm. Pete, what do you appreciate?
What?
Whoops. What do you appreciate?
Oh, there it is. I appreciate Jesus, Muhammad, the Buddha, and no, I'm just kidding. What I appreciate on the show for this past episode 6, you know what I don't appreciate, though? It's called phase space. I thought for sure they were going to answer that whole Space 47 thing.
Yeah.
If that had anything to do with it or not.
Right. We were so into the symbols of the show.
If you've been watching, you know what we're talking about.
Right. We were caught up in the symbols, but of course it wasn't. It was the space of the androids.
Well, we really now see the theme of water. This is one of my appreciations of water. Full circle now, and its importance large and small. I mean, everything from the pearl being in the water and the cupcake being in water as well, and the cortical fluid and all that.
Right.
The flooding, the using that taper machine to make a lake and all that stuff. You know, like water has been involved, and it is the source of life for Earth and us, and apparently the androids.
Perhaps so, you know.
But the other thing is also the piano. So water and the piano. The piano has a specific importance to Ford. And the beginning of this season is different than season 1. They didn't show the android skeleton playing the piano, did they, in the first season?
In both seasons they showed that.
Oh, they did?
Playing. Yeah.
So that's the importance of that is, though, huge now. Because, I don't know, it might just me, but perhaps there's some sort of code within a code in this alternate heaven that is, you know, the inside of the cradle.
Yeah, the cradle, right.
And, you know, this other dimension, does it encompass all of the hosts from all of the parks, or just WestWorld?
That's a big question.
Specific mesa.
Because they didn't specifically say.
Are there 6 mesas at 6 parks, or what?
Right. We were thinking that too. Is there a mesa in, like, say for example, the
because there were training samurais in the regular mesa, right?
Well, wasn't the regular? Maybe it was a connection to the other mesa, because
there you have it.
They, in that last episode, they crossed this bridge underground, and it showed a door for WestWorld and a door for Shogun World. So. Yeah, they're separate, but they're together. There's definitely a separate mesa, but do they have a separate cradle? Perhaps they do.
All I know is the opening of the show, what I've been told by the creators, what I've heard from the creators.
Personally, he's been told.
Yeah, right. Is that there are so many, like, hints and signals or whatever to what's going to happen or what to anticipate. And I'm watching, I'm like, what? What's... Okay, a buffalo. Okay,
right.
Like, you know, a mother and child. Well, it has to do with Maeve and blah blah blah. But like, what about the big picture? Like, so I can't really find anything. So the piano is the only thing that and the water, of course.
Those are the biggest things right now, man. And
what I'm going to appreciate.
The door.
This is what I appreciate. The preview for tonight's show that's starting any minute, if not already started 5 minutes ago. The preview for the show, although I know our fans in the UK that joined a couple weeks ago, they're not able to watch yet, so they're probably watching us right now. So, you know, good day to you. But, ta-ta. No.
Yeah.
But, what was I going to say now?
The preview?
The preview was jaw-dropping.
Yes.
I know a preview came out today for the last 4 episodes, like a kind of condensed thing, which was knocked my socks right off. Like, literally, my socks aren't even on right now.
Oh, yeah.
No, but see, your socks are. Don't put your foot in the air.
I can't.
No, never mind.
Can't show feet. Well, on Twitch.
Oh, that's right.
On YouTube, you might not be able to either. I don't know if you can. I might get in trouble if I show my feet. People will be like,
nasty. Why are you into feet? Come on.
Feet.
There's so much more to be into.
I'm gonna get the Crisco. I know, right? Feet. Get them out of here. Just put them together and make a sandwich. So anyway, let's go ahead and show a preview. Actually.
Where would we show a preview? Do we have a screen or anything? Like,
well, let's go ahead and...
When you've been in the dark
Alright, so it already is starting off with Dolores explaining to Maeve that if you stay in the dark long enough, you'll begin to see.
Created us.
And they reveal the shroud of many Bernardos hidden underground.
That's what I'm talking about. That preview, all of a sudden, oh yeah, there's like a miniature army of Bernards.
What is about to happen?
Dolores brings into the
Not be your
exploded
fault.
bottom quarters of the mesa. Then the orchestra music and the epicness inside the control room. Bernard. Oh, epic. Yelling and screaming blood and crying Bernard.
Wait,
oh, I looked into his eyes.
Tears there?
Yeah, it does, and his eyes are so shiny. You can see who's telling him to wake up. You can go and know who it is. I'm pretty sure it's Charlotte.
Oh, you think so?
I think so. I saw her white shirt.
Oh, okay.
So I think it's her trying to get one of those Bernardos to wake up.
Right. Well, they're the ones that walked in on all the Bernardos, right? Or was it Elsie and Bernard themselves walking in?
It was Charlotte that pulls back the tarp.
I'm so ready to watch tonight's episode. Let's do this.
We're almost there. We're almost there. Before we get there, though, of course, we're going to do some predictions for tonight's episode.
Oh, my God.
And then we got to show the last bit of tease
It's like the most impossible show to do predictions on. I thought it wasn't.
Well, just for tonight's
now that we're like balls deep into this and we're like past the midpoint, I'm like, all right, here's my prediction. People are gonna die.
Okay, I like it. People are gonna die.
And
now, when you mean people, you mean like real humans?
Real humans are gonna die, and androids, lots of them are gonna die. Some of them will be revived, but man, the preview for the last 4,
which we're gonna watch here in a second.
It looks like there's a. I mean, it's flash after flash, but it looks like there's a point where they bring all these bodies in, like they normally do into the mesa of dead droids. They pile them up, they get ready to reprogram them, and they all start getting up almost like freaking zombies, like coming alive.
Right.
That's what it looked like. I'm like, oh, snap.
There's a lot of hidden things in there, but for tonight, I believe the violent ends will begin.
Violent delights.
Will begin. That's essentially my prediction.
The
violent ends will begin tonight.
Yes.
I think this will be last week's episode was the top of the roller coaster, the very tip top, and now we're going down that drop. And this next 4 episodes are going to be crazy, man. Yeah. And tonight, I think we'll,
enjoy the enjoyment.
Enjoy the enjoyment, essentially.
And find out that we still don't know as much as we thought we would learned.
We never do.
But the greatest thing about this show, you don't have to wait 2 or 3 episodes for a reveal. There will always be multiple reveals.
They're very good at that.
Yes.
So we're going to leave you guys with this special trailer. But if you enjoyed tonight's WestWorldia, brought to you by PanNerdia, be sure to give us a like. Comment down below, because we always like to discuss WestWorld. Yes. Theories, discussions about anything. We love it. And, of course, subscribe if you're new here, if you enjoy our content. Yes. You want to see new content like this every Sunday.
Ring that bell, and you'll know when to tune in.
Right. Even though I know YouTube's a little crazy right now with its notifications, hopefully they'll sort it out. But we appreciate the support, guys.
And if you can't catch us live, just like you do with your shows and your DVRs, come to PanNerdia on YouTube at any time. Pick the correct episode to watch before watching actual WestWorld.
Right, and you can find that in the WestWorldia playlist.
Correct.
Alrighty, guys. Let me go ahead and jump over here to my screen for you. This one's going to be just straight up on the big screen for you guys. And we're going to get ready to start it right now. Sorry, that's really...
Our audio's still going, right?
Yeah, our audio's still
Alrighty.
going.
Grand finale.
This might be... I have to push back out for a second. Hold up. There we go.
Pardon us, folks. We're having technical difficulties at this moment,
hey,
but we're going to be right
too.
back online.
Yeah. I'm giving you guys the trailer fresh.
I don't think God rested on the seventh day, but now I think he reveled in his creation. Knowing that someday...
Oh, he just snaps his fingers, doesn't he?
Right.
The hosts are all headed for the same place.
Oh, man.
What's the end of your story?
Bernardo.
Look at that.
She's not playing the games no more.
I want their world.
She wants their world.
She wants...
This is a dream.
Our world.
Who is she shooting in the face? Oh!
Because it's a fucking nightmare.
What is that?
There's a
There
giant
they are.
thing.
They're coming. They're getting up.
I
can't take it anymore. What's going to happen? Who is that? Why is Clementine? What? Oh, he is an android.
How do you know?
I don't.
Oh, gosh. Woo! Well, that was a ride itself, guys, and we'll leave you with that. Go enjoy the enjoyment. Enjoy the night's episode. We'll see you next Sunday, guys.
It's been a long week. Let's do this.
Peace out.